The following podcast is part of the Underdog Sports Podcast Network. For advertising information or to find more great podcasts, visit us at www.theunderdogsports.com and follow us on Twitter at RealTheUnderdog.
Okay. Well, just for the record, we got it's sunny in Phoenix too. 52 to.
Everyone, and welcome to the Sunny in Phoenix podcast, a weekly podcast where we keep you up to date on everything Phoenix Suns basketball. My name is Charlie Erling, and as always, I'm joined by Mitch Krmpotich.
I don't know about you, but I feel good.
I feel okay.
I don't feel great about
Suns,
the team in
general. It's been rough. But this week on the episode, we'll be touching on a few things that have happened over the holiday break. And after that, we're going to talk about what this team's going to end up having to do to get some wins next month without Devin Booker.
Shout-outs are in order for our bet question from a couple weeks ago. Shout-out to @ComicEvangelist on Twitter. We were guessing Mikal Bridges blocks in the last game against Memphis. And Comic Evangelist was closest, so shout out to him. Go give him a follow on Twitter. Between the two of us, I won. I didn't even realize I won, actually. I thought I lost that one, but turns out I won. So the series, Chuck, you still have a 4-3 lead on the season, but I'm catching up.
All right, so we'll start with some headlines that have been happening here recently since the last episode, and Devin Booker, unfortunately, out at least a month with that groin sprain. And, I mean, I think it's time for us to be a little bit pessimistic on the show here, and we're going to be. Why did we rush him back for that Nuggets game? The game was in Denver. He hadn't been right. He had missed a couple games before it, came back for a couple, then missed one. You know, he was off and on, but why was that the game that we had to put him back for? It just seems so foolish.
Because it was Christmas Day.
Yeah.
He likes the big stage. I kind of wonder how much of this was Booker saying, no, I'll go. I'm fine.
You got to assume that there's something like that in the formula here, and how much the star player can overrule the medical staff and the coaching staff even. I mean, did Monty really want to play him that game? I mean, yeah, he's going to help you win, but Monty's got to worry about, 50 plus more games too.
Yes, the long term. I know. I was really disappointed with what happened there. And now a full month without Booker, at least. I mean, he's going to be reevaluated. I guess it's less than a month now, but still 3 weeks, 2 weeks until reevaluation. It's not good. It's not looking good.
No, and the team wasn't looking, at the level that we've seen them play at the last couple of years, even with Booker at this point, because, it's due to other injuries. Think how much we were just talking about, man, we could really use Cam Johnson back, or not an injury, but Jay Crowder. That roster spot, we could use that right now. Payne's been hurt. Shamet had been hurt. We've been going through all that, but, I mean, even with Booker, I don't want to go down that straight.
Right.
We don't need to go too hard here, but, yeah.
I mean, when we were recording the last time, when our last episode came out, we were still, I don't know if we were even fourth at that point in the West. We may have been even higher. And now at time of recording, we're 7th in the West.
Yeah, we just keep dropping games, and it's a tough Western Conference out there. We all know that, but a lot of these losses just came on an Eastern road trip. Right. So I don't know. You can I guess we just have to point the finger at the injury bug and say this is why we're playing this way. Yeah. But man, like I mentioned earlier, are we? I don't think we're a championship level team as a full healthy team right now.
No, I don't think so either. What gives me solace though is that the West is up for grabs. I've heard a few people talking about this. The fact that there's a lot of teams that could potentially emerge from the West, and almost all of these Western Conference teams have some weaknesses. So if you look at Memphis, for instance, they can be really great, but they've also been blown out a few times by other Western Conference teams, including us. They're very young. They're very aggressive. Sometimes that gets them into trouble. If you look at Dallas, Luka has been unreal. I know a lot of Suns fans are going to turn this off because I mentioned his name, but Luka has been incredible, but his supporting cast is not the best. And when Luka gets a little frustrated with the refs, his game suffers. If you look at Denver, I mean, Jokic has been unreal as well. Denver is very good, but they can be a little bit streaky sometimes, and they get outran a little bit. So all of these teams are good, but they have these weaknesses. So I do really think the West is up for grabs, and we're not entirely out of it.
Yep, that's all very true. And if we were a home team or not when it comes to the playoffs, I think it's going to be tough to get through the first round no matter who's matched up against who, like you said. So, yeah, getting into the playoffs is the main concern. It's not the 1 seed, even though I will say that's not even out of reach at this point, oddly enough. But
right.
Without Booker for a month, it's going to look pretty unreachable for now.
Totally.
Yeah, there's a lot of time left. And then all the teams in the West, it seems like everybody has a fighting chance against everybody. You make some good points. Who knows, though, by a month from now, when Booker's back, and then hopefully we've seen Cam Johnson back by then, but where are we going to be sitting in a month? It's kind of I'd like to see someone predict that on the head, because who in the world knows what's going to be going on?
That is really a good question. I mean, I think about how much can change very quickly, and when you look at the fact that a team like the Kings are playing very well this season, I mean, I love how Sabonis has been so good for the Kings. Go Zags. But yeah, like the lower end of the West is kind of scary for us, because the Kings are just the example that comes to mind. Like, they were a team we never had to worry about, and now all of a sudden it's like they could be the reason why we don't make the playoffs potentially this year.
Yeah, that's a wild way to look at it too. The Kings and the beam.
Exactly, the beam. Yeah. I'm not super concerned that we will fall out of the 10 seed. Like, I don't think we'll fall to 11 at any point. But I really don't want to have to play a play-in game.
Ugh. Man, the nerves on that one for like a random fan like me, that would be rough. A play-in game.
Mm-hmm.
Whew. I know how much like the opening game of the first round of the playoffs affected me and my heart rate. But when it's just win or go home at that point, that's a little scary.
It is. And it's just one of those things where, like, over the past couple of years when the Suns are, top, 1 or 2 seed or whatever, I think the play-in game is so great. But now I'm like, oh, we really need to get rid of that. Just leave it the top 8 seeds, So, I mean, we said that a lot during the playoffs. So, like, everyone loves the play-in game unless your team is in it.
Right.
And yeah, I think that definitely rings true. I was kind of thinking about that the other day. Like, how nervous would I be if we had to play a play-in game or two even?
Oh, well, as long as Devin Booker were healthy for it, I'd be pretty confident, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, I agree. I just really want to avoid it as much as possible.
Yeah. All right. We touched on the Booker injury, and we still have some other ones going on. Cameron Johnson looks like he's getting close. We've seen some videos of him sprinting, doing some workouts, but he has not been a part of any full contract drills yet. So there is a little bit of ways to go. I think we're nearing the end, or towards the end of the projection of when he'd come back after that surgery. So again, I'll say this, I don't want him rushed back. I'm happy that even though he can sprint and looks good on video, that he's not getting those minutes yet, because running around in a practice gym is a lot different than trying to play 30 minutes in an NBA game.
Exactly. Yeah. Take your time. I mean, I know it's very frustrating to watch the team sometimes at this point, but it'll be better in the long run to ease him in and to really take as much time as needed. Yeah.
And it's I'm not sure exactly when this happened, but at least for this last road trip, he was on the bench with the team the whole time. And
yeah.
I know he hadn't been at some point before that, so good to see him back.
Yeah, that is a good sign, yeah. And, I mean, we need him so bad. I mean, as much as I love Dario Saric, he just reminds me of how terribly bad we need Cam Johnson back.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we could really use him right now for sure.
Yeah.
And another guy who we thought we were getting back, but it looks like something may have came up, Cameron Payne. He comes back for the Cavs game, but leaves in the first half after re-aggravating that foot injury. So that is not a good sign when you take all that time off. I don't want to make it sound like he took all that time off, but you miss all those games, and then you come back and then instantly hurt again. And, like, do we point the finger at the training staff? Is something should we be worried about that, or what? Because the Booker situation, Payne coming back, getting injured right away, just not good looks.
That's a good point. I hadn't really thought about that. I mean, I don't know that you can necessarily point the finger at just one group of people necessarily, because Cam Payne wants to be out on that court too, and he's probably pushing for it. But you're right, it is not a good look to have two players re-aggravate injuries in the first quarter of the games they return from. Yeah, that doesn't look good.
And, just moving forward with that, we're pretty thin right now when it comes to the rotation, because, I mean, outside Dario, can't really put another big guy out on the court. Torrey Craig would be our next biggest guy. That's not a center.
No, not at all.
So, I mean, we're so thin. And going along with that, Chris Paul really stepped up in this Cavs game, and we'll talk more about that game a little later. But he ended up playing 40 minutes after Cam left.
Yeah, that's not good.
It's not good. And
I mean, he played well.
He did, yeah.
But yeah, 40 minutes is way too long for Chris Paul. I mean, I know we were saying he should try to, hopefully we can get it at 25 or lower, but yeah, I mean, it's just hard. Like, what else are you going to do? There's an issue, too, that I realized. Dwayne Washington Jr. can only play 50 games this season because he's on a two-way contract.
Yeah, and he did get minutes in this game. 2. So you wasted one of his 50 games by playing him 2 minutes while we didn't have any other point guards after the campaign injury, and then you played nearly 40-year-old Chris Paul 40 minutes.
Ugh.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that's such a difficult decision for Monty, though, because, like, we've tried this. Landry Shamet has been a bit injured, but he has struggled at running the point when we've put him in that position, and it's not his natural position, so I'm not like upset with him. Damian Lee can't do it either.
Right.
I mean, I don't even know who else we have running it at times, but no point Booker option. So
I think you just got to play Dwayne Washington more minutes in the situation.
Yeah, no, I agree. And
that's just wild. 40 minutes for Chris Paul.
Yeah, that can't happen. By the end of the season, or the last 20 games or so, hopefully we'll be healthy by then. And if Dwayne Washington Jr. has already played his 50 games, then so be it. I'm also, I would imagine there is some contract restructuring we could do to make it work.
Yeah, I feel like the guy deserves a roster spot, honestly. One of the few guys who can get a bucket off the dribble and create his own shot on the entire roster outside of Devin Booker.
Right.
Chris can do it a little bit too, but man, I kind of have high hopes for this guy as a player, and I don't expect it to be in a Suns jersey, but I think he's going to be a solid pro. I'm not going to say he's going to be a starter or the stud anywhere, but he can be a rotation player a lot of places, I believe.
Yeah, he's looked halfway decent.
Man, I'm just sad. This is kind of sad.
This reminds me a lot of how things used to be in the dark ages when we used to only win 20 games. Like, I know this is still different than that, but this is the closest we've been to that in a couple years. So
yeah. And earlier on in the season, I felt it was much easier to be like, okay, these guys the season's new. They're still getting a groove going. There's a few new pieces. We're going to be fine. But that's been wearing off lately, and it's looking pretty bleak. But yeah. When your star player's out, it's probably not going to be easy sledding for anybody.
Yeah, you know what? It was really bad. Earlier today, I thought about a 10-day contract for the first time in a couple years, and that made me really sad. Like, I haven't considered that phrase in such a long time.
Yeah, the carousel of 10-day contracts, breaking records for most players on a roster in one season.
Yep, signing Lorenzo Brown to a 10-day contract, and like that being something to talk about on the show. Oh.
Yeah. That was a funny era because we'd sign a guy, and it seems like it was point guards who we went through like 10 of them one year.
Yeah.
And they'd come in and they'd be a little spark off the bench, and we'd be like, oh, could this guy earn some minutes somewhere? And then obviously not, because I can't remember their names and they haven't played since. So
yeah. Yeah. I mean, we scooped up Mike James from the Verizon kiosk to suit up a couple times.
Yeah. And that's so funny. He's one of the better players over in whatever Euro league that he's playing in now.
Yeah.
And it's one of the better leagues too, if I remember correctly.
I think he's on like the Latvian League B team or something. Tearing it up.
50 points a game on 45 shots.
Yeah.
Sunglasses 2 days straight.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's an oldie. No one's gonna know that one.
No. I remember him going on Twitter saying, "I'm a starter." If you remember any of this, you're a true fan.
That's right. I remember when I started my hatred for him was during a summer league game where he attempted a game-winning shot, or either threw it. He either attempted a game-winning shot and missed, or tossed it out of bounds, ruining the opportunity for a game-winning shot. It was something like that. We were there and we saw it.
Maybe
live,
it was both.
Yeah. Maybe. Okay. All right. So I was sad. Mike James cheered me up a little bit. Let's keep the show moving. All right. We've seen some variations in the starting lineup over the last couple weeks as well. Torrey Craig's been moved back to the bench, and we've seen a couple different things. We've seen the twin towers of Jock Landale and DA start a game or two, and then more recently we've seen Dario and DA starting together at the 4 and 5. Which one do you like better, and which one do you think will have more success moving forward?
Oh, I can't even get it out. Man, yeah. I don't even know what to say. They both suck. Yeah. Well, it's better than starting Alex Len and Tyson Chandler at the same time.
Yeah, I can get behind that, yeah.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know. Who knows what's even going to happen, because on the post-game show from the Cleveland game the other night, in Monty's post-game interview, he said to expect more lineup changes. So who knows how long we'll even experiment with those two combos.
Yeah, well, more lineup changes are probably a good thing for the time being. Find something that works out a little bit. And out of the two, I didn't care for either, but I guess I was just more happy to see Dario out there, because Jock and DA, they don't work together. I think in the Memphis game they started, which made sense against Adams and Jaren Jackson Jr. Mm-hmm. We kind of needed to do something like that to match up with that size, but I'm just happy for Dario. He had a decent night against the Cavs, and it's not like he deserves to be a starting player in this league, but just seeing him get those minutes and look a little more spry than he had been earlier on in the year, I'm just happy for him.
Yeah, I mean, he clearly loves the game. You gotta love the guy. But yeah, I wish we weren't in the position where we had to start him.
I saw an interesting argument about Torrey Craig and how he steals DeAndre Ayton's rebounds. Have you noticed that?
You know what? I actually noticed that. I didn't see that post or article, but I noticed that the other day.
Yeah, and DA does a pretty decent job boxing out most of the time. I'm not going to say all the time, but it seems like he does a decent job of that, and then Torrey Craig just flies in for the defensive rebound. I like when he does it on the offensive end like that, compared to stealing it from our own guys on defense.
He does the whole Russell Westbrook thing.
Yeah. Pretty similar, yeah. I can see the similarities there for sure. But, man, here's the thing, though. I don't think we'd ever say anything bad to Torrey about playing all out. I don't think anyone can say that Torrey Craig doesn't play hard.
Right.
You know, and that's we need that. So you can't be like, hey, man, cool it, let DA grab rebounds, but maybe a focus of getting his body onto his guy and blocking him out before he goes for the boards, that'd be a start. But I'm not trying to, tame Torrey Craig by any means, because we need that. We need and something else we were missing in this Cavs game, Josh Okogie was out too. Yeah. I mean, we don't have guys that are going to fill it up, so we need guys who can shut it down, and Okogie is one of them.
Yeah. No, I think we really were missing J.O.
For sure. And like I said, we're not going to score a ton of points without Booker. I mean, it just doesn't seem like that. What are some things that you could see help the Suns win some games over this period of the next month without him?
A trade. Which isn't going to happen, and is our next talking point. But, well, I mean, going to the hot hand, I think that's one of Monty's biggest weaknesses as a coach is he trusts the wrong guys a lot and ignores the hot hand sometimes. I think that would help a lot. Mikal Bridges stepping up, that would be nice. Ayton stepping up as well, but that's kind of its own thing. So, yeah, I mean, I feel like we haven't seen much from Mikal on offense in a while. So, yeah, I think that stuff would make a difference.
Yep, I'm 100% with you on that. Since Booker went out, and even earlier on in this season, we said who's going to be the next scoring option. We thought that Chris Paul might be falling off a little bit in that aspect, and we were probably correct. But we were all pretty optimistic about seeing Mikal take this jump. And since this has happened with Devin Booker on the bench, Mikal has not been able to step up as that efficient and consistent scorer, I guess would be the best way to put it. He hasn't been consistent at all. And that's what, if you need a second or third scorer, he needs to be consistent, which Mikal hasn't been. That's a bummer. Deandre, though, man, talk about icing out the hot hand and the second option. I think it's him. And some numbers that I need to look up, which I probably will after this episode, unfortunately. What do DA's numbers look like in games with Devin Booker without Chris Paul versus without Chris Paul with Devin Booker?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Because I have a feeling his numbers with just D-Book are going to look a lot better than his numbers with just Chris Paul.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it just seems like they're struggling to find that chemistry, and I just wish we could go to Ayton a lot more. Like, why can't we treat him like Embiid? I mean, I know they're different players, but why can't we just try to get him the ball every time down the court?
It should be more of a priority. I will say that. And since the injury, I think we are focusing on it a bit. But I'm honestly a little worried that every Chris Paul pick and roll with Deandre Ayton, Chris isn't the number one option is not to give the ball to DA on the roll. Like I don't know if it's a little clash or DA's not getting open enough for Chris on those, but I feel like there's just a lot of the time DA sets the screen and rolls and it looks like he knows he's not even going to get the ball.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, when the offense does come to a halt sometimes and he posts up, there are guys looking for him now. We are trying to feed him down there, but pick and roll just isn't what I expected DA and Chris Paul pick and roll to look like.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, I think you're right that Chris Paul really is not looking for DA on a lot of those. We know we talked about this in a recent episode about the offensive rebounding and the prioritizing of crashing the offensive glass. And we know Ayton is getting quite a few points from that. I mean, I know that's not his primary source, but I think about games where he has 15 points, and it's like how many of those are coming from offensive rebounds? Even if it's 4, that's just 11 points in plays that are drawn up for him or pick and roll or post ups or whatever, and that's not going to do much.
Right. I hear you. So lean on DA, get some more consistency from Mikal, and then I will say that one of Shamet or Damian Lee need to take the next step forward and become a more consistent scorer as well. Yeah. And defensively, we have our issues. Defensive rebounding, we have our issues. And I'm just saying guys need to score more, but we need guys who want to get into the lane a little bit, maybe draw a foul, maybe collapse the defense. And you see how many free throws we shoot. You see that we score the least amount of points in the first quarter in the league right now. I mean, we don't try to attack the rim, and a guy like Josh Okogie isn't afraid to do that. He's not afraid to get swatted by, a 7-footer if he takes it into the lane. He's looking to draw the foul.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, Memphis is a good example. Memphis is so aggressive, and they get into the paint so well, and they get fouls called. They shoot free throws. Like, we could do that same thing, but Damian Lee kind of is a good example of this. We talked about this last time about how, we'd rather Damian Lee shoot a corner three than a layup. And it's like, yes, that's true, but it makes his game very one-dimensional.
Yep. Shout out to D. Lee for getting into the middle of the paint and putting up some floaters that have been dropping lately, though.
That's true. Yeah. Do have to give credit there.
Yep. All right, let's end things with some more kind of crummy news. Not that you've had enough already, but don't expect much in the trade department this year. We've recently learned that the new ownership won't get control of the team for at least a month now. So Sarver still has the final say. What kind of position is James Jones in right now? Just thinking about him. Does he have to call Robert? Can he even... I thought Robert was supposed to have no dealings with the team. How can he still be signing off on things like this? And
I don't get it. I mean, I think we have to quit blaming James Jones for everything, because clearly it's not his doing, the lack of trade. It seems like Sarver is still just kind of going out in a blaze of anti-glory. And just like hanging on and spiting us almost. That's what it seems like. I don't know. I mean, I just feel like if I one day became $4 billion richer, I'd be fine with it.
Right. I'd say, you know what? New ownership group, do whatever you want. I'm about to cash the biggest check that 99.9% of the world will ever see.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to let this slide. But yeah, who knows the intricacies of that? Because we don't, as fans, we don't know exactly what's going on.
I'm sure it's more complicated than I'm making it. But yeah, it puts James Jones in a weird position. And we heard the rumblings that the Suns were very close to trading Jay Crowder for Rui Hachimura, go Zags, which I think would have been awesome. I've said it before, Rui would fit in on our team very well. He is almost automatic for mid-range. He's got nice size to him. He's got his weaknesses and could still develop a little bit more, but I think he would fit in so well here. But the story is that we asked for Denny Avdia as well, and the Wizards said no. I don't see why we would insist on that. Just get a player who's actually going to play. But yeah, I just wonder how much Sarver had to do with something like that.
Yeah, I just don't understand it. Pretty much anyone that you see tweet about it, they don't understand it either, more than likely. So just put that in the back of your mind that this roster right now might be the exact same thing that we stumble into the playoffs with.
Yeah, that's a good point.
With Jay Crowder still cashing checks and sitting on his couch.
Yep. And I think that is the most likely outcome of all of this. Yeah. I wish the new ownership group could take over earlier, but I also understand a big deal like this is going to take a lot of time and it's got to be very complicated. So at the end of the day, I'm just thrilled that the team was sold and we have new ownership.
Right.
I think, just about anyone would be better than Sarver, but it sounds like Matt, how do you say his last name? Do you know?
Ishbia, I think.
Yeah. He sounds like a decent guy who knows the game. He played. He walked on, I believe, at Michigan State.
Yep.
So he's got basketball as a priority, definitely. Also sounds like he has access to an exorbitant amount of money, which doesn't hurt anything. So, yeah, I'm pretty hopeful about the new ownership. But, yeah, I mean, there's times where I'm like, do we just punt this season and try to get pieces in order so that we can focus more on next season and letting the new ownership really take hold of the team?
I'm not far away from that. Punt the season, admit we missed the window with Chris Paul.
Yep.
And reform for the next one with our core of players who, I don't know, we should be optimistic about, who are all of the same age range, who we can build around by just throwing in a couple right pieces. I don't know. I could sign off on that pretty soon. Soon.
I mean, I think, let's say by the end of January, let's see, I think we have 10-ish games left. Say we lose over 5. Say we lose over half of the games left this month. That leaves us with February, March, and like a week in April. What do you do? What do you do at that point if we've lost over half of our games in January?
Shut down Booker and tank for Wemby.
I don't know if I was going to go that far, but...
I mean, why not?
Yeah, I mean...
With the new lottery odds, you can
really
sneak in there a lot easier than you were used to be able to without being a top or a bottom team.
Yeah. I haven't paid quite as much attention to a lot of the draft prospects outside of him, and just kind of interesting to think about, like, what would our other options be if we were to tank, which I'm not necessarily saying I'm a proponent of. I don't really think we'll tank that bad. Hopefully it doesn't come to that point, but yeah, I don't really know a ton of the other names in that top 10 range.
No. Yeah, I don't even want to entertain this. I was just kidding. But
yeah.
One weird thing about the draft this year, I think the top, almost 10 or something like that are all players not from a traditional NCAA school.
Nice. I love it.
Yep, overtime elite, baby.
Go Zags, though. Always.
Yeah.
We should draft Drew Timme.
Do we have a first to be able to draft him with? Just kidding.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't know. Yeah, because he's probably going to go 7 or 8, I'd guess.
The mock that I saw had him going 57 or 58.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I really hope that he does go at that point, because, yeah, his game is definitely suited more for college. I got to say, though, he has a great podcast.
Does he?
He had Jalen Suggs on the other day. And he told a really funny story, like his welcome to the NBA story, where he was talking to KD, and KD got a call that was kind of questionable, and Jalen Suggs said, like, "Oh, wow, so that's one of those superstar calls." And KD looked at him and said, "I'm a god," or something like that, and then made 2 free throws. And he said he ended up going 10 for 11 for the rest of that quarter and didn't break a sweat. But the story was very funny. So, yeah, Drew Timme's podcast is I've seen some clips from it, and it seems like it's really fun.
That's cool. All right, let's keep her moving. We'll just talk about one game from last week. We don't want to drag on too far here. But the game against the Cavs, a tough 2-point loss. Like I mentioned earlier, as one of the lowest scoring first quarter teams in the league, this was a 15-14 first quarter.
That's so bad.
That's so bad. But coming off the last handful of games, I was just happy we weren't already down 15 at that point.
That's true.
I was feeling pretty optimistic after that first quarter. And actually, the majority of the game, we looked pretty good. Had a big second quarter to blow up the lead a little bit, but then second half could not hang on to it.
Yeah, that was so disappointing because you kept watching Cleveland claw their way back. And then we'd go up a little bit. They'd claw their way back, but then eventually they just overtook us, and it happened to be at the very end. Yeah, that was tough.
Yeah, and after Donovan Mitchell's bogus and fake 71-point game, holding him to 20 on 6 for 20 shooting, very nice. So you get that, and then you tell me that, and you say, yeah, that's probably a Suns win if they hold Donnie to that. But then you give up 21 to LeVert and then 14 to Neto, who is just a pest out there.
He is, yeah.
But, I mean, look at that. That's 35 points. That's, probably 15 more than what they average on the year, and we lose by 2. So some guys got the job done, shutting their guys down, but then you see those go, and, that's tough.
It is tough. And I mean, I think we have to talk about Ayton here. He's having a great game, but he only shot 12 times. And Monty said, yeah, we needed to go to Ayton more. And okay, I love Monty Williams. I think he's an amazing coach. I'm sick of that talk. Give him the ball more. Like, Monty is doing the dominating thing right now, where he says, oh, I need to do this. And then he doesn't change anything. Like, quit saying it and just get him the ball more.
I don't know if I've ever been more upset about Monty after reading his quote about Mikal Bridges' potential game-tying shot at the end of this game, about how he was proud of him for getting up a shot or just some BS like that. Like, you went to a guy who was shooting 3 for 14 on the night for the game-winning shot, rather than Deandre Ayton, 7 for 12, showing that he can get a shot up over Mobley or Jarrett Allen, whoever they have on him, on a good basis all night. Reward him for his 18 rebounds, too. 18 boards for Ayton after a couple quiet games on the glass. He's showing, okay, I need to rebound more. So feed him. Feed the guy. Make him feel good. This is why Ayton's mad or sad or whatever everyone wants to say. He has beef with Monty. He has beef with the team. He doesn't want to be here. Look at this. Look at this stat line. This is why he doesn't want to be here.
Right. And he's had a little bit of beef with Mikal multiple times. And,
And then Mikal gets the shot.
Him.
That's
right. And it's like,
oh, boy.
I mean, I'm glad we didn't see this, but I wouldn't have blamed Ayton if he would have gotten Mikal's face and said, what are you doing? Do your job.
Make your game-winning, game-tying shot that was drawn up for you rather than me, despite me having an incredibly efficient game and busted my butt on the glass. But, yeah, people will still say that Ayton only took 12 shots. He just doesn't want it enough or crap like that. Give me a break, man.
I know. I'd be so discouraged, too, if I was Ayton.
I'm steamy now.
I know.
All right. Well, let's hope Ayton, the old saying is that Ayton plays better when he's mad. Well, let's see if this carries over into next week's games. The day this episode comes out, we're playing the Heat tonight on ESPN. By the way, these games, 2 on ESPN this week or over the next 7 days, 1 on TNT. So amidst our struggles here, don't worry. We're going to put it on national TV so everyone can clown on the Suns even more than they already do on every form of social media.
Turn the volume down.
I hope they're broadcasting on Valley. I hope they are.
Yeah. And if not, watch it on mute. That's what I do.
All right. So we got the Heat today. Then we got the Cavs on Sunday, the Warriors on Tuesday, and the Nuggets on Wednesday. And those last 2 are away games.
You know what's weird? The game I feel the best about is the Warriors game.
Yeah. Steph won't be back by
Steph's
then.
been hurt. Yeah.
No Clay or Booker, or no Clay and Booker to talk trash or potentially get thrown out of a game.
Right.
But yeah, that one does look a little promising.
Yeah.
The Heat, They just lost to the Lakers without LeBron James and Anthony Davis a night or two ago. So
okay,
that could be a winnable one too. Yeah.
Yeah. Cleveland on Sunday. I'd love to get some revenge. Hopefully we come out strong. At Denver, second night of a back-to-back. That's a scheduled loss.
That'd be one like, it's at Denver. That might be a game where I start or where I sit one of my star players, especially if he had just been coming off an injury or something. Second, playing in Denver, scheduled loss.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Get Chris Paul on the bench.
Chris is going to play 40 this game. You can about
That's true, though. He will. This is our bet question, and maybe that comment will affect this. How many shot attempts will Deandre Ayton have in Wednesday's game against the Nuggets? I believe I go first, too, so I'm going to say 10.
10. Yeah, I'm back and forth on this one. Normally it feels like traditionally he plays a tough game against Jokic. Not saying that he scores a ton or even shoots a ton. I'm going to go 8.
8. I almost said that, jokingly. Okay. Let us know on Twitter at Sunny and PHX Pod how many shot attempts you think Deandre Ayton will have in Wednesday's game against the Nuggets, and whoever's closest will get a shout out on the show. I will add this as well. We are on YouTube again. We have a new YouTube channel, Sunny and PHX Podcast. It's a new channel, trying to kind of get that started again. So if you comment on the bet question on YouTube, I will also look there. So you can tweet at us at Sunny and PHX Pod. You can comment on YouTube, or you can email us, sunnyandphxpod@gmail.com. I will look at all of those places for the bet question. With that, we're going to move to the non-sports section of our show. We're talking fashion today, and more specifically, shoes. What is your favorite shoe brand or type of shoe? And we can look at athletic and casual here.
So I got to say the inspiration for this came up because I have a couple trips back to the Midwest planned, and obviously there's snow and it's cold. I only have one pair of shoes that are capable of withstanding any sort of winter weather now that I've been in Arizona so long. I only have one, so I've been doing some searching. But athletic, I think we're the same. I think we are both Nike men. Are we not?
We are, yes. Okay. I absolutely am.
I like Nike for like actual running shoes or basketball shoes and casual shoes. I've always been a fan. I mean, I remember having a pair of Adidas shoes back in the day for basketball, and I absolutely hated them. I can only wear Nikes for that sort of thing, so that's an easy one.
That is very easy for me. I'm pretty much brand loyal to Nike at this point. They fit my feet very well. I have like oddly narrow feet. You've probably seen that picture of KD's feet where he has like the hockey stick curve in his feet.
Yeah.
My feet are not as big as his, obviously. But I have like a mini version of that. So I love Nike shoes because they fit very, very well. I know people who have wider feet who have a hard time wearing Nike.
I see.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I will say I have one pair of Adidas, and they are my golf spikes, and I do like those. So I can't say I'm completely brand loyal to Nike, but every sort of casual tennis shoe that I own is Nike.
Yeah, me too. And we were talking about this before the show of, you were saying you think you know my answer, and I'm like, well, you'll see. You do. You're right. I only wear Nikes or dress shoes. So yeah.
Is Nike your official favorite casual brand? Is that what you're getting at?
It is. I don't wear other shoes. Like, I wear Nikes every day, basically.
So, like, with your workwear, You're wearing Nikes.
Yes. I wear like the Booker Air Force Ones with like khaki pants and a polo shirt.
Have you ever worn sneakers with a shirt and tie?
No. I'm not. No.
That's where you draw the line.
If I'm going to wear a tie or like a long sleeve button up shirt, unless it's like a flannel or something. That's actually what I wore today. But if I'm wearing like a dress shirt with a tie, I'll go dress shoes.
Good.
I couldn't even tell you what brand my dress shoes are either.
No. With dress shoes, I really don't care. I'll go on Zappos and just find one that I think looks nice, and then hopefully not pay more than $100. I'd say
I've had the same pair for years too.
Right.
I can't even remember where I got them, but they're comfortable enough that don't even.
I have 3 pairs of dress shoes in the rotation. A black pair that are comfortable, a black pair that have the pointy toes that are a little less comfortable, and then a nice pair of like brown ones.
I have a really nice pair of brown shoes that I got, I think, when I was in college. They're not super comfortable, but they look really nice, and I've only worn them a handful of times. But
all right.
I'm not typically wearing brown shoes and belt.
So for the casual, I am curious if you know what I'm going to say.
I really don't think I do.
Okay.
Sperry's?
No. Opposite. Birkenstock sandals.
Oh, I should have known.
You should have known that.
I did know that. You're right.
I roll with the Birks all summer long, like no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not embarrassed. I will wear those, and I could wear socks with them, but I don't. I don't.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I know those things are popular. I know people love them. I don't like wearing sandals. I'm a sock and shoe kind of guy, even during the summer.
I hear that. You know what I don't like? The flip-flops, the thong flip-flops.
Oh, yeah, those things are rough.
Those are the worst things. I have a pair. Oh, actually, another pair of Adidas. Another pair. Just sandals, like with the Velcro at the top, like slides or whatever they're called.
Yeah.
Got another pair of Adidas.
That reminds me. I'm not 100% brand loyal to Nike.
Gucci slides.
My Gucci slides. Yep. Yeah, those were a gift. Just so everyone knows, I did not go out of my way to buy Gucci slides. They were a gift. And actually, they're great. The only issue is you literally have to wear socks with them. Because they like eat your feet alive. Like I had like a big scab on my foot because they just dig into the front of your feet if you're not wearing socks. So that's the only issue. But yeah, I do love my Gucci slides.
Yeah, you need to find more occasions to wear those out, though.
Maybe I'll wear them to work tomorrow.
I mean, is there an open toe policy at work? Can you do that?
I don't even know if we have policy. I definitely would not do that, but it's funny to imagine.
Yeah. And if you have dress socks under them, I mean, who cares?
Yeah, dress socks and Gucci slides.
Class.
Yeah. And my gator boots, of course.
Of course, gator skins. You got to have those. And
with the pimped out Gucci suit as well.
Thank you. I was looking for the completion there. Okay. That wraps things up for this episode. We will be back next week with another one. Check us out on Twitter at Sunny and PHX Pod. And again, Sunny and PHX Podcast on YouTube. Check that out as well. And we'll see you next week. Go Suns. Bye.